In today's video, we check out two Joe Bonamassa signature Les Pauls from the Gibson Custom Shop. We have the Goldtop, which is the original run, and we have the Sunburst. So let's plug these two amazing guitars in and get shredding. Hey guys, welcome back to Squealing Pig Guitars, the home of luxury shred machines here in Nottingham, England. I hope you've all had a great weekend and you're having a great start to your week. To start off Monday with a bang, we have two Joe Bonamassa Gibson Les Paul custom shops. This is the first Joe Bonamassa guitar to ever exist.
So guys, as always, I've got this beautiful Lifton case on the sofa ready to go. This is the original Goldtop, so these cases actually came with a Joe Bonamassa signature on the case, which is pretty rare to see on these custom shop Liftons. Other than that, it's kind of like an early 2000s kind of case recreation with the one lockable latch, the rest are just the little ones. So let's open up this guitar and see what's inside. So this really is like opening a time capsule. Inside we have a very, very clean, I'd even say mint, original run Joe Bonamassa signature Les Paul. These are the 1955 Goldtops with the mix-matched 50s and 60s specs.
So let's dive into the iconic history of this Joe Bonamassa signature model. Back in the spring of 2007, Gibson came to Joe and said they wanted to make a Joe Bonamassa signature Les Paul. Gibson wanted it to be a Goldtop as they wanted to reignite that model as it had lost popularity in that year. The first edition of this guitar was a prototype, of course, and Joe Bonamassa famously traded it in at Norm's Rare Guitars a couple of years ago. That prototype JB Goldtop was used in the studio while recording the Ballad of John Henry. In many ways, this guitar is Joe's pride and joy because it represents his journey as a blues guitarist. In addition to its use in the studio, Joe also played 200 shows on this prototype, so it just goes to show how much he loved and adored this model. Following that model, out came the Goldtop Joe Bonamassa signature model. At the base model, it was a beautiful Goldtop Gibson Les Paul, but it had some pretty funky specs. You had 50s and 60s styling kind of blended together. For example, on the ABR1 bridge, you had half metal saddles on the bass side, and you had nylon saddles, a 60s spec, on the treble side. Another example of this mix matching of specs was on the rhythm selector, you would have the ambered knobs known to be used in the 50s, and then on the treble side, you would have the reflector knobs which were used in the 60s. But now that you've got a bit of backstory of the Goldtop, let's get it out of the case and see what it looks like. So here's the original Goldtop, the first Joe Bonamassa signature to be made. This one is completely clean, so it doesn't have a VOS finish or any relicking, it's just completely clean. This does feel a bit like a time capsule guitar. I feel like I'm going right back to early 2010 and buying the guitar new. It has no scratches on it at all. It's completely in mint condition. This has kind of classic Goldtop specs. You have a mahogany body, maple top with the Goldtop finish. This one has quite a rich Goldtop. It's almost a slight brown hue when looking at this angle. It has that kind of mocha look to it. It's not greened out at all, it's very rich. We have the creamed binding with the black back, which is must for a Goldtop in my opinion. We then have a slightly thinner neck on this one in comparison to the new one. This is kind of like a 50s style 55 neck. We have the cream binding with the tortoiseshell side dots, which I love on these 50s guitars. We've got a rosewood fingerboard with celluloid inlays. We have a nylon nut. We have the Grover Rotomatic tuners, which are the kidney bean ones, and the serial number on this one is JBG008. So this is a first year, completely mint Goldtop from the 1955 range. What I really like is this headstock as well, is how the Gibson logo is slightly lower as this is a 55 recreation, and we have burst booker 2 and 3 pickups in this one. I mentioned this earlier, but basically you have the mix match of specs, so you have the nylon saddles on the treble side and the metal saddles on the bass side. This was done to make the bass strings sound more trebly and make the higher strings sound more warm. Also, the reason why we have two sets of knobs on here is mixing up that 50s and 60s specs. So on the bass side we have amber, and then on the top we have the reflector style, and this was done so when Joe Bonamassa was singing, he didn't have to look down at the guitar, he could feel the difference between the two pickup sets. So these guitars were kind of known as like the inspired by Goldtops, and it was the first Joe Bonamassa signature, so it definitely is something new, which I appreciate. I like how he did some different specs, and it's definitely a total guitar nerd's guitar, as obviously if you know the differences between the specs and stuff, the 60s and the 50s, it makes this guitar very, very collectible for sure. As this is a first run and one of the first Joe Bonamassa specs, this is an incredibly rare guitar and very, very desirable. Obviously, as you guys know, there's been so many Joe Bonamassa signature models, ranging from Epiphone to Gibson USA to Gibson Custom Shop. He's released Firebirds, Les Pauls, 335s, the list is endless, and he's still releasing more guitars now. And then we get the second Joe Bonamassa signature model, which is this, the Bona Burst.
So inside we have the later version of his signature model. This is the Bona Burst.
This guitar boasts the same specs as the Goldtop, but it kind of replicates as if someone got a Goldtop from 55, shaved off the tops, got rid of the paint, and dyed it to make it look like a burst, which a lot of people did back in the 50s and 60s. They were known as burst conversions, so you still had old wood, but you had like a new finish. Here's a few pictures of some burst conversions now. We've got the same kind of specs. We've got a 55 Les Paul Goldtop, obviously with a sunburst instead of gold. These have some pretty interesting tops. Some of them are flames, some of them are plain. We've got quite a nice example here with quite nice figuring on that. It's like a three-tone sunburst. You've got a black kind of outer going into a slight red and then into that orange. So it's a really nice kind of sunset, really dark tobacco burst. Of course, just the same as the other one, we have the mahogany body, mahogany neck with that massive baseball bat 55 profile with the rosewood fingerboard and celluloid inlays. As this is a 55 Les Paul, you do have that beautiful headstock where the Gibson logo sits a little bit lower than it usually would on a burst. Obviously, we've got the gold silk screen and the Bonamassa truss rod cover. This one definitely has been used a lot more than the original Goldtop. It is a VOS run, so it has a slight cloud to the finish, but it definitely has a little bit, a few scratches here and there, and it's definitely been played and loved. And this is Joe Bonamassa 099. This one also has the Gibson Custom Shop logo, as it's a later edition, whereas the original Goldtop doesn't have the Gibson Custom Shop logo. But now that we've looked at both of these Joe Bonamassa guitars, let's plug both of them in and see how they sound. So let's go to the tone demo now. So guys, welcome to the tone demonstration. To begin this tone demonstration, I'm on the clean Goldtop, which is the first Joe Bonamassa signature model. I'll make sure to switch to the Bona Burst later on in the demo. But it's the exact same, but both of these guitars have the exact same specs, same pickups, all that type of stuff. The only thing that divides them is the finish and age. So to start off with, I'm going to use the same tone that I used in the intro of this video, which is a little cover of Cliffs of Dover. For this tone, I'm using a tube screamer paired with a fuzz pedal. And I also have a very kind of prominent digital delay. So this is what it sounds like. And there's a lot of repeats there. So I'll play the intro again just so you can hear it. Tone, especially on the bridge pickup, just sounds so thick. And I know it's an Eric Johnson track and obviously not a Joe Bonamassa track, but for me, when I hear Joe Bonamassa's playing, I can really hear that Eric Johnson influence, and it's my favourite style that he does is them kind of pentatonics. So I'll play a couple more Bonamassa solos now, so you can hear really the tones of this. I'm actually going to turn off the delay just so it's a little bit more transparent. obviously this guitar absolutely screams. That's with the fuzz pedal on, so let's disengage that now and just hear that standard bridge pickup with a little bit of gain. That is an incredible tone to my ear. Anyways, these burst buckets sound incredible. And that's really what a Les Paul should sound like to me. Lots of mid-range, lots of treble. It has a really nice snappy sound. And I really can hear the difference with the saddles. I do think the nylon make it sound a little bit more warm on the... You go to that lower string. Might be something that you can only really hear in the room because of the reaction of the bridge, but it sounds snappier on the bridge, on the lower string. Sorry, sounds really cool indeed. I'm loving the tone so far. This 55 profile definitely is one of my favorite profiles for a Les Paul. Lots in the hand, very rounded, sounds incredible. So guys, I've just changed over to the Bona Burst now, so this has the exact same specs. The only difference obviously is just the finish and age. So let's hear the same tone I had on the Goldtop, but now with this guitar. So let's hear it. to start off the clean demo, I'm going to be using the neck pickup, and I'm going to be doing a little loop just so you can hear all the tones kind of overlap together. This clean tone is just an AC30, completely clean with a little bit of reverb and a compressor. That's all you're hearing. So let's hear the rhythm tone. As you can hear, it's a very versatile guitar indeed. Has some really nice clean tones, very mellow guitar, but it has quite a lot of bass end, I'd say. It's quite a woolly sound, especially on the neck pickup, and that's kind of a bit of a characteristic of burst buckers from my personal experience. They're not a really crisp pickup in the clean tones, but when you switch it onto a gain mode, it seems to have a lot more treble, which doesn't really make sense to me, but that's just kind of what I heard from this guitar in particular. So I'm going to finish the demo with some more fuzz tones, as that's kind of like Joe Bonamassa's trademark, so let's hear it now. So guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope you've enjoyed. Before I get into my personal review of both of these Joe Bonamassa models, make sure to go down below, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and leave your thoughts in the comment section below. This really helps us get more views on these videos and bring you bigger and better guitars every day. So let me just grab the other Goldtop and give my personal review. So now I've got both guitars, let me give you my rating. Recently we've had some really impressive guitars on the show, and I've been giving a lot of high ratings recently. So I'm actually going to give these guitars a 10 out of 10, and I don't give 10 out of 10s very recently. We did have another 10 out of 10 guitar, which was the Gold SG that we had the other day. We rated maybe 4 guitars, a 10 out of 10 rating, so they really are incredible. And the 10 out of 10 one is definitely this Goldtop. This one is set up to perfection. It's in a really nice new and mint condition, and it's been set up really well, as I mentioned. This one's really good. I wouldn't say it's a 10 out of 10 in comparison to this. This definitely needs a new pair of strings and a little bit more of a cleanup, but it definitely still has a really cool sound to it. For me, what I really liked about these guitars was the playability. The 55 necks have a really nice rounded quality to them. The intonation was perfect, and I just love this ABR1 bridge design with the nylon saddles and the metal saddles. I found that the high notes on the guitar, especially when bending, were really nice and soft, and I really liked how I could dig in on the riffs, and they had quite a brittle sound to them. Really good indeed. You guys know I love kidney bean Grover tuners on Les Pauls. I think it looks cool, but it also stayed in tune a lot better than the standard Clousons. Obviously this one's really clean, and it has that added kind of bonus of being the first Joe Bonamassa signature guitar, which is a really cool factor. And that's mainly based on the fact of how many signature models Joe Bonamassa actually has had. He's got hundreds out with Epiphone Gibson. It's a really cool piece to have this in your collection. So yeah, that's my personal review of these Joe Bonamassa signatures. But most importantly, guys, let me know in the comment section below, what do you think of both of these Joe Bonamassa guitars? Do you prefer the Goldtop, or are you in the Bona Burst camp? Let me know down below. I think I'd definitely take the dark back Goldtop though, if it was up to me. But as always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Squealing Pig Guitars. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of Squealing Pig Guitars. But until next time, keep rocking, guys. I'll see you soon.